Hello and thanks again for watching, everybody. This is Ike Zim coming at you with a new video for my second Bionicle Lego Transformer. This will be kind of an overview slash review video, mostly just to get my work out there and show you all what I like to build in my spare time. So as I said, this is another of my Lego creations that is a fully functional transformer. This one's particular name is Obliterator, and I would think of him as more of a Decepticon bad guy sort of character, in contrast with my first character that I showed here, Downforce, who would be on the good side of things, you know, one of the Autobots per se. Now, Obliterator here is pretty cool looking tank here. I kind of was really inspired by things like Metal Slug and futuristic looking tanks. You can see that he's got this chain kind of coming behind here, which I imagine to be like tubing to feed energy into his energy cannon up here. He's a very bulky tank, but I think of him as also being more lightweight than your average tank, able to kind of drive in pretty quickly and be maneuverable enough to do some damage with his heavy cannon here, and maybe even like lay some mines or something in battle. Now, one downside to all of this bulk you see on here is that it leads to him not having treads that roll amazingly well. Like, you can see that as I turn them here, they're working okay, but once I put them down on a surface, they have to struggle. There's all this stuff in the way that they're catching on and pushing on, so they're mostly just there for looks. I think it turned out pretty good myself. As for features, we've got the turret can rotate. It ends up being at a little bit of a downward angle, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but there's a lot of stuff has to cram up into this middle section here, and that's what creates that angle. And also, I feel like with the parts that I'm using and the techniques I'm using to transform him right now, that's just kind of an unfortunate side effect. Maybe that'll get reworked later, but for right now I think it's okay. We take a look around the back, we can see that he's got some lights here and some kind of guarding for the underside. Also, he's got a couple of hidden cannons right here. Might be a little bit tough to show up with the black on black, but you can see them running along the bottom, the underside of the treads. He could probably utilize those in this mode as well, take out any small ground troops. So just like Downforce and all of my Lego Transformer creations, this guy can transform completely from one mode to the other with all his moving parts, and the only things that detach are the weapons. So to start that transformation, I'm going to pull these off the sides. You can see here, these were a Toa weapon, and they're going to be his maces in robot mode, or flails I should say. And we'll pull off this one here too. They're pegged on with this little 3-length pin, and you can see here that I attach it so that the end that you can pull it out from, see, I can pull it out that way. I can't get it to do anything. I attach it so that that end is on the outside. It plugs right into this middle hole on this Bionicle foot piece, and then that way they're really easy to take off. I just grab them and I just pull, and I don't have to worry about that pin getting left behind here or anything like that, which happens sometimes with the way that these transformations work. So we'll set those off to the side. Then we're going to come around here to the back, where the articulated tubing kind of plugs in to these hatches here. We'll pull that up. It's got a pin. You can see that in the end there, attached to the ball joint, and that was attached into that slot right there. It's a little bit of a squeeze to get that in there, but I like the way it looks more inside rather than attaching it around on that side. So we'll pull that off, and then the tank turret is going to become a handheld weapon in robot mode. So we'll then take and pull up the piece. You can see here what I'm talking about with a pin getting left behind. This blue pin is wanting to pull out attached to this. We don't want that to happen, so that blue pin stays behind. We're going to take this whole assembly here and set it off. And then we're working with this chunk here. So I find it's usually the easiest for us to unplug all the treads first. So what we're going to do is come around, flip them upside down, See these red pieces here? Those are brighter red than the others on purpose so that it's easier to tell where to detach them from the rest of the body. Those will detach and then fold 90 degrees so that they're more streamlined against the treads. And then we'll come around to the side and you can see this beige axle pin sticking out. That is plugged into the side of the vehicle, so we'll just pull that out and unplug it. Same thing on the other side. I'll give you an underside view this time so you can see it pulling away from this brown piece right here. There we go. Those are unplugged. And then these will be loose. We're just going to kind of pull them out to the side here. This guy kind of has to explode open. This happens with some of my older designs. They have cages or internal frames built out of ball joint pieces that open up, and then the robot kind of folds out of it, and then everything closes back around to secure everything. So we're going to see that here with, I'll fold up these, and then we're going to unpeg the hands. See right there from the sides, same sides that the treads were plugged in, just in a different spot. Take the other hand off the other side, unplug, and then we come around the back, and we can see that these brown pieces are attached to the black rail here. They just pull out. That's just a regular axle piece, so it's not actually sticking in there with any friction, just the friction of all the parts in their places. This will pull up, and now we can kind of start to deform the robot. So these front pieces are going to fold up, and they're going to fold flat and open, and you can see they are starting to look like legs. We're going to rotate the foot around here, rotate this foot, rotate the whole robot. Now we've got the front of his legs, and then we're going to throw this whole cage backwards and work on the core mush here. So, bring him up a little bit closer. We'll do the head reveal early here just to get it out of the way. He's got one of the older Toa heads. I think it's the same set that these came with, actually, so that's kind of fun. Then we're going to take the arms, and you can see that this elbow joint here is flipped so that it's upward right now. We want to turn it around so it's in the upside down orientation. There we go. And then we're going to take, and this piece here, the shoulder armor, what will become the shoulder armor, needs to be on the other side. So we're going to push it out to get more clearance, pull it around 180 degrees, fold down the arm, and push it back in. We'll do the same thing over here. Turn that shoulder armor 180 degrees around, close it down, and move the arm into position. Now his arms are starting to come together. Now basically the whole robot just needs to get pinned together. So we'll get the backpack ready. These tail lights need to get pulled out on their stems so that there will be enough clearance to rotate them around. And then I'll show you from the side here. This arm pulls up and around to kind of continue the shape of this part of the frame here. Same thing on the other side. There we go. And now this is all going to nestle together. You see it fold there? Oh, and I should say here before we forget, these pegs that we're holding the hands push in to clean up the robot mode a little bit. Now we're going to bring these around, and first things first, these brown Bow-Rock eye pieces are going to push in and securely attach to the middle hole on the side pieces, which are old Toa bodies. There's the side piece. Push it in. Now, the rest of the cage comes up and around, and these Bow-Rock eye pieces that were the tail lights are going to attach to the lowest hole on the top section of the body. Both sides. Now everything is all plugged together. We just take the treads and orient them onto the back. Just fold them around. And then the head, this brown piece that the back of the head is mounted on, nestles in between these old Toa feet to give him a big beefy neck. You can see that right there. I'll show that nestling again. So you can see there's the gap in the Toa feet there, and the elbow piece slides in, and then I start sideways and I pop that brown piece in until it's all locked together. We can turn the chest so that it's all lined up, And with that, we've got Obliterator in his robot mode. Just get him stood up, and then I'll adjust the camera so you can also get a better look. Now this guy is a little top heavy with those treads, so it doesn't always cooperate with the standing. So let's see here. Move the camera back here, and you can see him standing all the way up. So, like I said, the tank gun is going to become his robot mode weapon. We'll take him and we'll place the gun in the bottom of his hand like so. It's going to carry it kind of like Arnold carrying a Gatling gun. Bring it around, and then we'll plug this piece into the center hole. See, there's only one spot available on the underside of his arm. All the rest are plugged with pins. Plug that in there, get it all rounded up, and then he can hold his flail in his hand. He can actually hold both of them at once. I think this makes for a pretty cool look. There we go. Get him stood back up. There we go. You can see him starting to fall there. That is because he has these very long legs, as you can see here, and all of this mass on his back can make things a little tough sometimes when it comes to standing. Now, it does make it easier in that he has a revealable weapon system. Those cannons that we saw when he was in tank mode on his undercarriage can now flip around to be over-the-shoulder cannons, which sometimes help him balance a little bit better. Let's see here. There he is, so we can blast with those. Now, we'll fold those back, because he can do all of his stuff with them folded up too. It just is a little bit easier sometimes without. There we go. And now let's put away his maces so we can get a better look at him all together. They can just clip right onto any part of his back here. I just find a spot that I like and peg them right on. Let's see here. Yeah, on the other side I did the second hole down. We'll do that here too. Alright. Now we'll show off his details and articulation a little bit. So we'll bring him up close. You can see his head. I really like the look it achieves with that bulky old Toa foot for his neck. Makes him look like he's ripped. And then the shoulder armor, I feel, flows really well out of the body. He has shoulder articulation. His shoulders can go out about that far. If you finagle stuff around, you can get some more movement out of it, as you can see. But that's kind of the main range. He has an elbow that goes about 90 degrees. And same on this side. And then regular Hero Factory hands. So there's a ball joint there for articulation. I will say that his bulk does get in the way a little bit of articulation, especially in the upper body. But just kind of the way it goes with such a bulky character. He doesn't need to be striking very dynamic poses anyway. Now we'll get to the legs. The legs I'm really proud of because I get thickness by attaching two regular Hero Factory arm or leg pieces onto another one here, and that gives me a nice wide hip. It also gives me a double joint in the knee, which makes for a more stable knee typically. However, I really wanted to use these old Toa bodies for his feet because I think that just makes for a nice look all around. And it was a bit of a conundrum to figure out how to get there to be enough friction in this knee. There's enough friction up here. This is a great joint. But it's this joint here that was too loose. So I figured out a little solution here. You can see that there is a piece of Technic tubing, a very small one. These were not cut. These are, I think, like the smallest size of Technic tubing that they have available. And they're squishy. I think that's mostly the old style, but I'm not sure. they're squishy Technic tubing, and so I put it in between there and squished it up, and now the gears on the bottom of the old Toa body, those teeth, interact with it and add more friction. And that's basically the only thing that's allowing him to stand the way that we're seeing him stand in these shots. But the nice thing about that is it awards him this awesome double-jointed knee, which he of course uses for his transformation, but can be very useful for posing as well. And the foot is on a ball joint, so that worked out pretty well. I had these feet mounted a little bit deeper in here with just a axle and a ball piece, but they fell out all the time. And so using these extended ball joint with a Technic beam on it, it's just worked out better for everything in the long run. It used to be every time I transform him, his feet would fall off, and we can't have that. These have to be workable transformers. So, I'll get him stood up here and show off some good action shots, and then we'll call it. Like I said, it's really a balancing act with this guy. You can see he gets a pretty good step there. I find that he can strike some pretty dynamic poses. Now, when we want to get this gun up, it's going to get tougher because his weight is going to be so unbalanced. But there he is. He's holding it. You can point the gun right at us. I like how he just transitions over the armament from his tank mode. In this mode, it's basically like he is just a tough guy no matter what mode he's in. The tank is maybe just for more mobility over a flatter surface, whereas once he's in robot mode here, I'm sure that, like most Transformers, he have some boosters, he could probably fly, and as well as just being able to, you know, trudge through rubble and get to any of the what would be Autobots in this scenario and obliterate them. So Overlord is definitely a force to be reckoned with. I kind of think of him as one of the co-leaders of my evil team that I've assembled here, which you guys will be seeing a lot more of. You'll probably see more of my Autobots first, because I have a sort of subgroup of bad guys that are all bugs, basically, that I'll be showing off in a series of videos so that you guys can get all of that together. But otherwise, that does seem like it's basically all for Overlord here. A design I'm really proud of. He's one of my earlier designs and has held up really well. Has had to have barely any changes made to him over time. Really mostly just figuring out those knees, and the cable for his gun has gone through several iterations, but I like the ball joints the most. It just gives a good look, reminds me a lot of that Metal Slug look, and I think that Obliterator here would be a great addition to any Decepticon team. So, thanks again for watching, everybody. I was really surprised by the views I got on my first video. Just kind of put it up on a fluke and didn't expect to get 10 views, let alone a couple hundred. So if anybody likes these videos, please like them, share them with anybody else, and subscribe, because I have a ton more of these guys. Like I said in my last video, I think I have 10 or even more of them built. So once I put out all these videos for you, I can take some of these ones apart and build more, and keep it coming. So thanks again for watching. Please like or subscribe, and we'll see you next time.